Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Angeline and I'm the marketing associate at Knowles Teacher Initiative, and I'm here today with Jennifer Mosgrove, who is the director of the Teaching Fellows program. Thank you for joining us for today's presentation, which will provide an overview of the Knowles Teacher Initiative. During the presentation today, we encourage you to use the Q&A box on your screen to ask any questions you might have. I will relay those questions to Jen at the end of the presentation, and I'll be sorting through them to make sure that we get all of your questions answered. If I have time, I'll also answer some of them as typed responses, and you'll be able to see those as the presentation goes on. So I'm going to hand it over to Jen now.
Thanks, Angeline. Hi, everyone. Good evening. So the Knowles Teacher Initiative was established by Janet and Harry Knowles in 1999 to support high school science and math teachers and ultimately to improve math and science education in the United States. At Knowles, we believe that teachers can and should be the primary agents of educational improvement. This belief is woven throughout all aspects of the Foundation's programming, including our Teaching Fellows program, which is what we'll discuss today. Today, I'm going to outline an overview of the Teaching Fellows program and the benefits of being a fellow. And then I'll discuss how to apply for the fellowship, including our eligibility requirements and the application process. So let's begin first with an overview of the program. While new teachers are going through a certification or licensure program, they are often surrounded by a cohort of other new teachers, and they have dedicated mentors that are with them in their classroom almost all of the time. In addition, because they are usually connected to college campuses, they often have access to many resources, including journals, experienced folks for support, and classroom materials. And then the first few years of teaching can be jarring for new teachers. Often, new teachers have a sense of isolation as they navigate their new school environment. Mentoring programs in some cases aren't as supportive or comprehensive as the teachers need them to be. And schools aren't always able to provide the intellectual resources through professional development or the physical classroom materials that new teachers need in order to be able to enact the vision of teaching in their classroom that they want. So while they're attempting to learn a challenging new profession, they find themselves under-supported and under-resourced. Kelly's quote speaks to how the Knowles Teaching Fellowship program supports new teachers. I'll give you just a moment to read the quote. The fellowship was designed specifically to address some of the challenges faced by new high school math and science teachers to help them thrive as new teachers and become teacher leaders who are able to support other teachers and to improve math and science education for all students. The Knowles Teaching Fellows program is an intensive and cohesive 5-year program that supports early career, secondary math and science teachers and their efforts to develop teaching expertise and lead from the classroom. Each year, we award approximately 35 fellowships to new math and science teachers who have outstanding content knowledge in math or science, are committed to becoming great teachers, and possess potential to become the kind of teacher leaders who make a difference in schools. The fellowship has 2 phases. In phase 1, the first 3 years of the program, fellows work in 3 main areas. They reflect on and deepen their own mathematics or science knowledge to develop the specialized forms of content knowledge that are needed for teaching. And they use that knowledge to create profound learning opportunities for their students. Fellows also earn increasingly sophisticated ways of examining their classroom cultures and instruction by applying a variety of analytical lenses to data that help them see and then increase learning opportunities being offered to all of their students. While focusing on these areas, fellows are also supported in becoming a community of inquiry that engages with and as critical friends. This emphasis on inquiry into your own classroom with others serves as the foundation for teachers leading from their classroom. In phase 2, which is the last 2 years of the program, the focus of the work and inquiry shift from a fellow's classroom to their professional community in which the fellow works. Fellows are supported in bringing their school colleagues into their work, which requires that they make themselves vulnerable and open to others' perspectives. Fellows grapple with their own professional goals and commitments and what it means for them to lead in their own context. Additionally, they learn to understand their school and local community as a system. They understand multiple leverage points for change and experiment with ways to lead those communities toward better outcomes. Through all of this, we support fellows to think about making their work and learning public in very different ways. In addition to the curriculum of the fellowship that I just described, equally important to the impact of our program is the use of cohorts to build connections and community. We built our fellows program on a cohort model that allows fellows to connect with peers who are at roughly the same point in their teaching careers. And as our fellows finish the Teaching Fellows program, they tell us that there has been no greater professional support than that which comes from the cohort of teachers who go through the fellowship with them. The groups that fellows form in their cohorts allow them to experience what small inquiry-focused learning communities look and feel like, and allow them to experiment with various roles that teachers might play within those communities. Through this, fellows are supported to reimagine and strengthen their working relationships within their own high schools. Teachers who wish to make a significant impact in their classrooms and schools must seek equitable outcomes for all students. We know the US educational system has traditionally marginalized some learners, leaving them without access to equitable instruction in high school math and science. This has then led to fewer opportunities for all students to engage as empowered citizens or to enter and thrive in math and science fields. Improving education for all students in the United States requires teachers who are able to work collectively with a wide range of colleagues and stakeholders in order to combat inequities and create more equitable spaces for all students to learn math and science. Ultimately, our goal is to support the development of teachers who recognize their role and their power in their school system and beyond, and feel empowered to impact that system in support of more equitable outcomes for students. As such, equity and inclusion are a key thread of the Knowles Teaching Fellowship. Over the course of the 5-year program, fellows investigate how their personal identity influences equitable instruction, how teachers influence equity within their classroom and school community, and how teachers can grow their circle of influence. Specifically, fellows engage in learning experiences that support their development across 3 levels of transformation with respect to equity and inclusion: personal, interpersonal, and systemic. The Knowles Summer Conference is the official start to each fellowship year. This 3-day meeting takes place in July, usually in Philadelphia. It is a distinctive event that brings together members of the Knowles community, typically around 250 participants, to interact with, learn from, and provide critical feedback to each other within a variety of settings and structures. All cohorts of teaching fellows attend the meeting, along with many senior fellows who are engaged in specific activities related to summer conference. Staff and other experts in math and science education are also in attendance. The summer conference is divided between opportunities for fellows to work within cohorts and opportunities for them to engage within the wider community. In the mornings, teaching fellows begin the work of the year that is aligned with the specific goals of the phase of the fellowship they are in. In the afternoons, meeting participants attend their choice of learning sessions that have been proposed, reviewed, designed, and are led by fellows. These learning sessions may be structured as interactive presentations, a workshop, or a collaborative learning group. Fellows who lead these sessions are provided with a coach, a Knowles Senior Fellow who has participated in our coaching institute. Coaches support session leaders to establish learning goals and then help them evaluate the effectiveness of their session. Fellows also choose a book to read together each summer and organize a variety of unconference style discussions about that book throughout the meeting. And last, the fellows have opportunities to organize informal discussions over meals and during meeting breaks that allow them to find common ground, organize working groups, and discuss topics that are interesting to them. For many fellows, like Sarah, a science teacher in Queens, New York, the Knowles Summer Conference is often the first time that they present at a professional conference. Again, I'll give you a moment to read her quote. As such, the summer conference lays the groundwork for sharing the knowledge they generate with peers on the local, state, and national level. In addition to the Knowles Summer Conference, we bring all members of a cohort together twice a year to meet in person. It's a significant investment, but a crucial piece of our support of beginning teachers. Meeting in person serves several important purposes. First, our staff plan and implement professional development sessions for fellows that introduce the fellows to important new ideas in the fields of math and science education and teacher leadership. We support fellows in considering critically how those ideas make sense in their local context and equip fellows to plan for implementing changes to their practice as teachers and leaders. Second, while our fellows engage in robust work online, the intense time they spend with one another at meetings, at meals, and even socializing late into the night serve as crucial components of community building. Finally, while we strive to be careful stewards of Knowles resources, we also recognize that teachers deserve to be treated like professionals. So to that end, we make sure that the fellows are treated well. We eat good food together, and we make sure that our meeting sites are pleasant places to be and work together. Olivia Bean, a chemistry teacher in Portland, Maine, shared this reflection about attending Knowles events. The biggest impact has been about always improving and changing. Every time I participate in a Knowles event, I end up with at least one new thing I want to incorporate into my practice. Before switching gears to discuss the benefits available to Knowles Teaching Fellows, I'd like to just briefly highlight our Senior Fellows program. After completing the 5th year of the fellowship, Teaching Fellows become Senior Fellows. Through the Senior Fellows program, former Teaching Fellows have the opportunity to remain involved in the Knowles community throughout their careers and to be supported in ongoing leadership efforts. Knowles Senior Fellows continue to be supported as teacher leaders. We have programs that support them to lead professional development and coach other teachers. We have a Senior Fellow run journal that features teacher voices and gives them a platform to speak to other teachers and others within the educational system. Senior Fellows continue to innovate and design new and innovative instructional approaches as instructional leaders. Once someone becomes a Teaching Fellow, our support, we hope, is career-long. Next, I'll provide an overview of the fellow benefits. Knowles Teaching Fellows receive a comprehensive array of benefits that are designed to support new teachers and emerging teacher leaders. These benefits include financial support, mentoring and coaching, and membership into a nationwide community of peers. We support fellows financially by offering grants to cover expenses associated with purchasing classroom materials and engaging in professional development. Fellows are also eligible to request funds to develop and execute leadership activities that have an impact beyond their own classrooms. In addition to the grants, fellows are eligible to receive stipends. We recognize that fellows are highly accomplished and have often made sacrifices, both in money spent on teacher preparation and opportunity costs incurred by choosing a lower paying profession. The stipends allow fellows to possibly reduce debts that they may have incurred and reduce the financial burden teachers often bear, both of which are factors that contribute to sustainability in the profession. Alternatively, stipends could be used to support fellows financially during the summer months, allowing them to concentrate on reflecting on the past year, preparing for the coming year, and professional development, rather than taking on a part-time job during the summer, as many teachers unfortunately need to do. In total, fellows are able to access more than $50,000 in financial support over the 5 years of the fellowship. This is above and beyond the professional development and support that they receive through the fellowship work that I described earlier. Just a note here, The various grants and stipends are subject to board approval on an annual basis. We value the expertise and knowledge of skillful teachers, which is why we support our fellows with mentors and coaches. In fact, we recruit staff with significant teaching experience to support our fellows. Our experienced teaching fellow staff with over 100 years of combined teaching experience view themselves first and foremost as teachers. Our staff regularly check in with fellows, support them to plan and reflect on instruction, talk them through challenging professional dilemmas, and support them just in general. Staff observe fellows teach either virtually or in person and coach them into improvement in a way that the fellow would direct. In addition to staff, each team supports fellows with 2 or 3 veteran teachers, most of whom have over 20 years of experience both as teachers and teacher leaders. These team specialists bring on-the-ground experience and credibility. They attend meetings, support fellows in their inquiry, and as current teachers, provide counsel as true master teachers who are still in it with them. Again, Knowles Fellows are able to tap into a support network of more than 450 teachers who are committed to improving math and science education. From in-person conversations that take place at meetings to virtual conversations that take place in our online community, invaluable support is just mere moments away. Next, we'll discuss eligibility. Prospective applicants must meet the following eligibility requirements. The fellowship seeks to support individuals who intend to make teaching their primary career. In order to be eligible for the fellowship, applicants must have recent knowledge of the content they intend to teach. Specifically for this year, applicants must have earned a related degree between 2013 and September 1st, 2023. Additionally, applicants must have earned a secondary certification somewhere between January 1st, 2018 and September 1st, 2023, with the goal of teaching full-time in a high school science or math classroom no later than the fall of 2023. Last, the fellowship is intended to support beginning teachers who are first or second year teachers during their first year of the fellowship. We are excited to share that for this year only, we will expand eligibility to include teachers who are entering their 3rd year of teaching in the fall of 2023. For the purpose of eligibility, we consider an applicant's first year of teaching to be the first year in which they are full-time for the full academic year as a teacher of record. And we recognize that even with these specific criteria, it is certainly possible that you'll have specific questions about your specific situation. And we want to make sure that you're able to confirm your eligibility before investing the time needed to apply for our fellowship. If you have questions regarding eligibility, you can send your inquiry to apply@knowlsteachers.org, and we'll be sure to reply quickly. Last, I'll highlight the application process. The application process for 2023 has 3 parts. To be considered for a 2023 Knowles Teaching Fellowship, applicants must submit an online application, participate in an individual interview, and participate in group interviews. I'll briefly describe each of those now. As part of the application process, applicants are required to write 3 essays and obtain 3 letters of recommendation describing how they meet each of our 3 criteria, which I'll describe in detail momentarily. In addition, all applicants submit a CV or resume and unofficial transcripts from all of their college experiences. The application is now open and closes at 11:59 p.m. PST on January 8th, 2023. Please visit our website at www.knowlsteachers.org/apply to learn more and to click on the apply button to begin the process. Following a review of written applications, semifinalists will be identified. Applicants who are selected as semifinalists will receive an email in early February inviting them to schedule a Zoom interview. The individual interview will last approximately 1 hour and is designed to help us learn more about applicants with respect to our 3 criteria. We may ask about experiences applicants wrote about in their essays or information contained in their transcripts or letters of recommendation, in addition to other questions that we have. If an applicant is selected as a finalist, we will invite them to participate in group interviews, which will take place virtually on Saturday, April 29th, 2023. The group interviews will take place throughout the day, beginning at 10 a.m. Eastern and may go well into the evening. Participation in all the activities is mandatory and none of the activities can be rescheduled. An applicant should make sure that they are available throughout the day on April 29th. If an applicant is selected as a finalist but determines later that they cannot attend the group interviews, the application will be declined at that point. Each year, we evaluate fellowship applicants with regard to the following selection criteria. Successful fellowship applicants possess the potential to develop the content knowledge needed for teaching, exemplary teaching practices, and the qualities of a teacher leader. The first of our criteria is the potential to develop the content knowledge needed for teaching. On our website, you can find a full description of this criterion. In short, though, we're looking for people who have strong preparation in their content discipline and who have the potential to develop the specialized content knowledge that teachers need to teach well. We do expect that fellows will have at least a bachelor's degree in a field connected to the subject they intend to teach. This does not necessarily mean that if an applicant intends to teach math, for example, that they have to have a degree in math. Actually, some of our math fellows have degrees in engineering or other related fields, but it does mean that an applicant should have significant depth, breadth, and interconnectedness of knowledge from the coursework that they have taken. In general, successful candidates tend to have at least a 3.0 GPA in their college coursework and in their math or science coursework specifically. In addition to evaluating a candidate's coursework, we also look at an applicant's response to the essay and the letter of recommendation that were both written to address the content knowledge needed for teaching criterion. We also consider any awards, honors, internships, or other distinctive content-related experiences that they have had. I do want to say an additional word here about the letter of recommendations. You'll notice that I said that the letter of recommendation written to address content knowledge. It is important to realize that the 3 letters of recommendation are each written to a different criterion. For each of the criterion, we're seeking someone who can directly address a candidate's potential within that criterion, not just a general letter of recommendation. So when you enter recommenders in our online system, you would indicate which recommender you want to address each criterion. So for content knowledge, for example, it should be someone who can speak to your math or science background and understanding and how that might impact you as a teacher. The second criterion focuses on an applicant's potential to develop exemplary teaching practices. Again, you can find a full description of this criterion on our website. In short, we're seeking candidates who are deeply committed to teaching math or science at the high school level, who understand that teaching is a complex endeavor that requires a significant investment to continued growth, and who have well-developed habits of reflection that can allow them to learn from their experiences. They also critically examine their own practices with the goal of leveraging these strengths and promoting equitable learning opportunities for all their students. When assessing an applicant's potential in this area, we will look at the associated essay as well as their resume or CV. Typically, the letter of recommendation for this criterion is written by someone who knows the candidate's potential as a teacher. The third selection criterion is the potential to develop the qualities of a teacher leader. The Knowles Teacher Initiative is committed to the belief that teachers can and should be change agents in education. Knowles seeks candidates who have developed their capacity for collaborative leadership in previous experiences and demonstrate the propensity to continue to develop as leaders in and from the classroom. We review the essay written for leadership as well as the resume or CV and the letter of recommendation. Letters of recommendation for this criterion speak to a candidate's leadership potential, and may not necessarily be someone who knows the candidate from academic or teaching setting. So at this time, we'll open the floor for the questions that have come in. Are there any questions, Angeline?
Currently there aren't any open questions. I'll just give it a few more minutes. Okay, we just got one. So Emma asked, is the official start of the program the July conference?
So great question, Emma. The fellowships actually begin officially on June 1st. So our 2022 cohort just recently began. But the first big event kind of happening is the July conference. But prior to the conference, there's some online stuff that we do in terms of introducing the cohort to each other, to our work, and fellows become eligible to get those grants and stipends as soon as they are fellows. So another minute for questions.
Melissa asks, well, Melissa said, I've been following this fellowship for multiple years now, and I'm excited to finally apply as I begin teaching next fall. The possible funding for classroom materials, is it also allowed for purchasing scientific equipment while building science programs, like water quality meters, not just microscopes?
Yeah, great question. Again, the materials grant is designed to support teachers to get any kind of materials that they need that will specifically, the criterion there is that they have to help students really engage with the math or science content. So yeah, looking at things like water quality meters, those kinds of things would definitely fall under that. And just a note with that, the materials technically still belong to Knowles, although they stay with the fellows. But if a fellow were to move from one school to another, the materials go with them.
Someone asks, could you please talk about the eligibility regarding the recent degree?
Yeah, so we are looking for folks who have kind of current content knowledge, and one kind of quick way we define that is that your degree in a content field, so in math or science or a related field like that, is sometime within the last 10 years. And so, and again, that's just to say that we are looking for folks who have engaged in the discipline recently. So for this year, you would have to have earned your degree sometime from 2013 until now. And if you're not sure about your specific degree, you can always email apply@knowlsteachers.org, and we'll talk with you about any specifics around that.
Angelise asked, where can I learn more about this fellowship for future purposes?
Yeah, and just I think the best way to learn about that is to continue to just on our website, knowlsteachers.org, and continuing to check that pretty regularly. It's a cool website also.
You can also follow us on social at Knowles Teachers on Twitter and Instagram and Facebook.
Good plug.
Someone else asked, do you automatically cut off applicants based on GPA, or do you still consider the resume and letter of rec before deciding it's too low?
Yeah, that's a great question. We actually do not have a GPA requirement, so we don't cut folks right away from that. The idea is just, when I said the applicants who tend to be successful tend to have GPA of at least a 3.0 within their content. But we do look at the holistic application.
Angelise asks, will this recording be available to rewatch later? Yes, it will be posted on YouTube. Moto asks, do you have the same criteria for first, second, and third year teachers?
Yeah, that's a great question. Yes, it is the same criteria. And we do consider, we look at potential based on where folks are and understanding that, but it is the same criterion for across all three, regardless of where folks are.
Someone else asks, do you ever consider an applicant's resume to be too busy, as in have a lot going on and think they won't have time for the fellowship?
Great question. No, we don't. We use our criterion to help us understand what that resume might be telling us, but we would not make that kind of an assumption. Just real quick with that, we try to be clear around what the fellowship entails. And so if, as folks learn more about that, if they have questions, we're happy to address that. But I think I outlined it pretty clearly in here with the meetings, and then there's some online stuff that we do in between.
Moto asks, I recently joined the NYC Teaching Fellows. Would that conflict somehow?
Congratulations there. The only conflict, so we work with fellows if there are conflict. There's no conflict in terms of like being in multiple fellowships from our end. We do have fellows who are in other fellowships in different ways. The only thing would be our fellows are required to attend the summer, fall, and spring cohort meetings. And summer conferences are always listed out 5 years in advance, so fellows know the dates, and we try to pick weekends in the fall and the spring where there are little to no conflicts from fellows. And when there is a conflict, we try to work with different groups around that.
Megan asked, my initial residency certification came through in late February 2022. Does that mean I'm too far to apply?
So it would depend. Let me get back to, I have lots of dates that kind of float in my head, so I want to make sure I'm going to give you the right dates here. Somewhere between January 2018 and 2023 is when your certification would need to have happened. And then the other part that you would just want to consider is years of teaching. So for this year's cohort, the 2023 cohort, that with the application that's open now, folks who are eligible in the fall of 2023 would be starting their first, second, or for next year only third year teaching. So as long as next fall you would be a first, second, or third year teacher, you would be eligible.
Raphael asked, are emergency credentials eligible?
Yeah, we look at what the state considers to be that you are eligible within the state that you are going to be teaching to be a full-time teacher of record. So if you're not sure about that, I'd be happy to chat more about that over the apply conversation. If you email apply@Knolls. You have to be a state certification. So.
Rebecca asks, are you still eligible to apply for the January 8th, 2023 deadline if you plan to start working towards your teaching certificate during the spring of 2023?
If you will have earned your certificate and be licensed, ready to teach on your own teacher in September of 2023, then that's fine. So if it's, a 6-month program, then you would be fine. If it's a year-long program and you would not be certified in September of 2023, you would not be eligible for the 23 cohort, but assuming that you would finish within that year, you'd be eligible for the 24 cohort.
Someone asked, where are the in-person located? I'm assuming conferences.
Yeah, so the summer one, I did mention that's in Philly almost every year. The fall and spring, I did not mention. Those vary. They're at different locations across the country based on many different factors, including where cohort members might be if there's a big concentration somewhere. But we try to travel so that there's usually, we know everyone comes to the East Coast in the summer, so we try to make sure we get at least one on the mid to west area a year, and another one mid to east, somewhere in there. So the cities vary. We tend to hit places like Denver or Chicago or Phoenix, but that varies.
Someone asks, are the in-person conference travel fees paid for?
Yeah, thank you for asking that. Yes, all of the travel expenses are paid for by Knowles, and any expenses, reasonable expenses occurred while traveling, such as parking or meals while you're traveling, fellows are able to submit reimbursements for. And then so Knowles covers the cost of the hotel, cost of meals while you're at meetings, and the travel, like flight, that's all paid for by Knowles. And then we reimburse for any other expenses that we just can't front, such as parking at the airport or something.
Rachel asks, does the summer conference occur in July?
Yeah, it's usually the last full weekend of July every year. Any other questions?
Not right now.
All right, then I'll start to wrap us up.
Okay.
So I do encourage you to register now to start your application. It'll take less than 60 seconds. You can feel free to send us a message. If you have any questions right now about that, you can visit our website to learn more about the application process. Again, our application is open. If you have questions that were not addressed today in the presentation, whether you can't find them on our website, please feel free to email us at apply@knowlesteachers.org for assistance. And then thank you today for your time and for your attention. And I hope everyone has a great day, great evening.
Okay, Jen, I'm gonna leave. I can't end it because Ebony's the host, but
Perfect. All right. Thanks, Angeline. Talk to you
Bye.
later. Bye-bye.
Later.